Joe. So we have another question here from Angela. And Angela says, hey, Joe, how do you prevent shadow IT and shadow development from happening in the first place? Especially when the business feels blocked by in-house resourcing constraints. I know, I've dealt with that. A lot of teams turn to third-party engineers or agencies because they need to move faster, reasonable, but then they don't really want to bypass the engineering teams, but they do because they have goals to meet. And then once that deliverable exists, and now it's outside of the official systems, and engineering doesn't want to maintain it, it creates risk, duplication, and maintenance problems. So how should leaders think about avoiding shadow development in the first place without slowing down business? Where can they meet in the middle? And what's the right way to deal with it, and to also build better relationships with engineering? Because I'm sure when this happens a few times, it really makes trouble for both sides of the fence there. So what are your recommendations?
Hello, Angela, and thank you so much for the question. So, a couple things. Shadow IT organizations are, literally one of the riskiest things that you come across within a corporation. So, a lot of individuals don't realize the risk that they put the organization to begin with. Now, why does shadow IT exist? The reality is that most shadow IT organizations start forming just from what Christine said, which is, hey, a shadow IT organization, the business is trying to get something done, they want to get it done faster, IT isn't working fast enough, so they go out, they hire a third party, or they do it themselves. A lot of that's complete nonsense. It's really nonsense, because they're making the assumption that an IT organization that's brought in from the outside, or them doing it on their own, can do it quicker or better or faster, and they don't want to invest and they don't want to get permission to do that from the general IT organization. But it's nonsense. The reality is, the only reason why you're able to operate faster is because you're doing something that is increasing risk to the company. So step one to prevent shadow IT is, number one, you have to start a education process, which means you have to go out and you have to educate, whether this is done through testing. If you're in a regulated industry, chances are you have to be tested for security and other knowledge around technology usage. But the first thing is educate everybody the risk of the organization. Number two is through policy. So you also simultaneously set a policy that says if you are implementing or engaging in something that could add risk to the firm, and you are going around or disabling or doing anything to obstruct the existing controls within the organization, that is a terminatable act, because you're actually putting the firm at significant risk from data leakage, from other things. So you establish those two things. Number one, a training program, and the second one is that education around what the risk is, and that policy that, once you go against the policy, you're in trouble. The third thing, which I think is probably one of the most important things, is you need to educate the individuals in the business lines as to, how your process works. This is what it takes to get to production. This is how we can move faster. All of the different things that are out there and required for individuals within a corporation to use. That's really one of the paramount things, because a lot of times business gets frustrated because they have no understanding of what it takes to actually secure the organization. They have no understanding or appreciation of the amount of stuff that goes on to make everything work, make everything hospitable within the environment, make sure that you're safe and secure, and you've got soundness within your IT organization. So it's that education. And the last one is really monitoring. If you've got a monitoring capability within the firm, you're listening for things that are broadcasting or pushing out information, you usually can detect a lot of the shadow IT that people install. Things that are listening to ports or responding to ports. It's very easy to do port scans on systems that are within your organization, figure out what is actually broadcasting, a server that's been put up or anything like that. So it's actually not that challenging to stop, or I should say, it's not that challenging to detect what's going on. I think that the important thing that people really need to understand is that, number one, people do it because they don't know the risk. Number two, if they don't know the risk and they don't know the ways to streamline the risk, they're going to try to go outside. Number three, if you let them know that they're breaking policy and you let them know that you're putting things in place that are going to essentially detect when they've broken policy, and there is going to be a repercussion for that breaking of policy, then that should start. Number four, a procurement department that doesn't allow you to hire external consultants when they're not allocated to, and when they're brought on board in a very structured way. These are all methods that will go a long way to preventing shadow IT. You can lock down the environment as much as you want, but education, communication, and partnering with the business is actually going to go a long way. And then again, it's just keeping IT affordable so that you're actually optimizing the use of IT, and just have them invest in IT the appropriate way and make sure that you're getting things done in a timely fashion, and more importantly, a transparent fashion. Then they'll understand why all of these things are happening, why the latency is happening that they don't really like. Because a lot of times the reason why these things happen has more to do with the breakdown between communication between technology and their business customers than anything else. So thanks so much for the question. Really appreciate you tuning into the show. Take care.